It's still a 1 o'clock kickoff from an East Coast perspective. 4:25, I think. For us. But I mean, in terms of the guys that are going on the trip, they're going to be. Well, I guess I screwed that up. It's 4 o'clock kickoff for them. 1 o'clock kickoff in Seattle.
I mean, Tom, you're our math guy. If you lose your math, we're in trouble. Huh? How you doing, man?
Doing good, son. Midnight Pod. I love it.
Yep. Midnight Pod.
Got me speaking Italian over here. My
I forgot Pop
pre-production meeting.
Turns into a pumpkin at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Makes things a little challenging for the kid over here. What are you going to do? Hey, we are bringing to you guys all kinds of good stuff. We got Seahawks pregame, and then we got our NFL power rankings. This episode is going to be a lot of fun. Pop, quick vibe check. Where are you at with the I know where you're at, where your vibe is in general. We covered that in the pregame meeting. But where are you at in terms of the command? Where's the vibe at? I know you're sleepy. I know it's past your bedtime. But if you can muster up the energy for the people, where's your
I got
commitment
energy. Got
vibe
plenty
at,
of
right?
energy. I got plenty of energy. I had a little nap. Got a little nap in since this is a later start time for the old man here. So I'm good. I'm good.
That's what that looks like.
Oh yeah. Well, sawing some wood. But
Was it a
my
voluntary
vibe.
nap, or
Here's
did you
where I
just
want
sit
to go,
still for more
son.
than 10 minutes?
What's that?
I said, was it a voluntary nap, or did you just sit still for more than 5 minutes?
It was. I don't know about voluntary, but as soon as I hit that couch. But here's my vibe. You don't want to go there, but we're in the hunt, son. We're currently the 8th seed in the NFC. So what I want to do just quickly, talk about how critical the Seattle game is if we want to make a season out of this. Because essentially, you look at that schedule, we got the Hawks on the road, we got the Giants at home, we got the Cowboys twice, Thanksgiving and at the end of the season. Then Dolphins at home, tough one. Rams on the road. 49ers at home, another tough one. So the way I break this schedule down, right, you got 8 games left. I think you got to get at least 5 of them to have a shot, right? Get to 9 wins. I don't want to back in with some 8-win season. So you look at it, I count 4 out of those 8 as winnable games. Now, how do I define winnable? I think it's just a team that we could beat, that we're kind of in the same ballpark with. Some of these might be a stretch, but I think those are the Seahawks, the Giants, the Jets, and the Rams. So I think those are 4 games against teams that, we have a shot at. I think we got a shot at. Then the other 4 games are pretty big underdogs, right? Against Cowboys twice, the Niners, and the Dolphins. Somehow, some way, we got to figure out a way to pick up 5 of those. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm not Pop, for a man that hates projecting. I'm very excited to line up the whole season there for us.
I'm just saying the season ain't over. I didn't project anything.
I'm okay with season 8.
I didn't predict or project anything.
I'm okay.
November is when Ron Rivera cooks. Don't forget it.
One out of 11 months.
No shame. November is when Ron Rivera cooks.
Oh man, I don't want to draw any correlations there. I'm okay with saying that the season isn't over yet. I think, statistically that's accurate. I'm not ready to do the how do we get into the playoffs dance until we beat the Seattle Seahawks. If we beat the Seahawks this week, then I'm on the same page as you. Then I'm looking at, hey, we might be able to put a little run together. And just for the fans, something that I realized that I did not quite have a grasp of when we look back at that 2012 season. There's a lot of talk now with the excitement about Sam Howell is, how do we compare him to where we were at in 2012 with RG3? Are we at that point yet? That was the last time we've had this kind of excitement around a young prospect. And when you compare the team's records, we were 3-6 at one point in 2012. and we turned
That's
that
right.
season around. We went on a crazy run. The city was on
You're
fire.
with me
I'm
then.
not
You're with me.
necessarily I'm not necessarily saying I think that's where we're going to go. Maybe that's not what I'm predicting, but that we could be headed on that. We're one step closer to being on that trajectory if we beat Seattle on
Well, I
Sunday.
think
So,
if you wanna be the optimist, you could take the pessimist thing to say we've only beat bad teams. If you wanna be the optimist, I think this offense is building and starting to figure it out. And you can see the quarterback is learning. Last 2 weeks his statistics are off the chart. We won't rattle them off, but he's figuring out how to get in a rhythm. But some of that's the play calling, better balance. And the whole offense had to figure things out, right? The receivers, the running backs, it's new to everybody, even the coach. And then the defense, if they can just come back to the mean, like we talked before, and be a middle of the road defense then versus being one of the worst in the league, you've got a curve that's going in the right direction. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm not even saying I think it could happen, but there are signs pointing in a direction where this team could be ready for a run. And you're probably not going to win all four of those that I thought you should be competing in. But I do think we'll end this thing picking off one or two of those four teams, especially with three of those four games against those tougher opponents or at home. You never know. You never
yeah,
know.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think like I said, I think I'm gonna save that for next week. Should we beat the Seahawks? But right now, I don't want my team focused on what's
One
coming
game
down
at
the
a time.
pike. I want us one game at a time. I want to be where our feet are for the most part and focus on Seattle here. That was a full Ron Rivera there. You know, I think, like Pop said, to get into the scouting report here, I think you're looking at a pretty beatable team, but I think a solid football team, and I think personally a team that is better than our team, top to bottom, and a coach certainly in Pete Carroll I have a little more faith in. Um, but we're two teams in similar positions here. We're 4-5, they're 5-4. We're both have kind of stalwarts in our divisions that are pretty much going to win that division. We'll get into that in the power rankings, but we're both looking for potential wild card spots here. This would be a really big game in terms of the chase because if we win this game, now we are 5-5, and Seattle is 5-5 as well. And maybe we're not playing that dance for the 7 seed. Maybe we can do ourselves a little bit better. Maybe it puts Seattle back in that 7 seed race as well. Gives us an opportunity, right? So in terms of scouting report, this is a well coached ball club, um, solid top to bottom. There's not one position group that really jumps out and makes you go, holy crap, they're good, aside from their wide receivers. And that's where, matchup wise, I started to get a little bit concerned because we're looking at DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, all three guys that can carve you up at any moment. I mean, if I came up to you on the street and told you that any one of those guys went 8 catches for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns, you wouldn't be surprised, right? These are three elite wide receivers, and they all do different things. You have DK is just the physical specimen, almost a discount version of AJ Brown, kind of. You have um, Tyler Lockett is just the veteran presence, the great route runner, and Jackson Smith and Jigba just your slot guy, super shifty, just he'll route you to death. Um, that type of player, and they certainly don't have any slouches on the ground either. Kenneth Walker's a great running back, solid guy. He'll put up numbers for you. Zach Charbonnet is his backup, who also you're looking at maybe he's headed towards a breakout for the second half of the year here. It's maybe a little more fantasy. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they're led by their rookie quarterback, Devin Witherspoon, who's a stud. They got him with the first rounder that they accrued in the Russell Wilson trade. And if you want to talk about the best cornerback in the draft, there was a lot of Christian Gonzalez or Emmanuel Forbes talk. It's Witherspoon. That's not close. And obviously he went first off the board. It was in a different class, and he has lived up to that draft class. You saw him on that Thursday night game against the Giants. You saw him just completely take the game over. Um, and Seattle's going to send the blitz. That's something that we should keep an eye out for. But yeah, that's pretty much the scouting report there. Geno Smith, solid veteran quarterback. Will turn it over from time to time, but he's going to manage the game. He's not going to do anything crazy. one way or the other. And yeah, that's pretty much, I'd say that's the Seattle scouting report right there.
I look forward to it every week, son. The Dami
There you
scouting
go.
report.
There you go. So, Pop, what do you say we get into the three keys for this week?
Let's do it.
So, key number one is going to be finished drives. And Pop wants to see 24 plus points as a part of that, finishing drives, getting 7, getting 3, getting something out of these drives, turning these good opportunities into points, turning those 3s into 7s, turning those punts into 3s. Let's start finishing drives, getting down the field a little bit more. Key
Yeah, I
number
think our
2.
best shot. I think our best shot is okay if I interject something.
Please, 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 please.
I think our best shot here is to put up points, is to keep some momentum, is to play 4 quarters of offense. Because I don't have confidence that our defense can stop Seattle consistently. But if we can keep the momentum on offense, keep them off the field, and finish drives, because we've proven we can move the ball, but finishing and getting points on the board, I think, is so key in this game, and it also helps quiet the crowd, which is another key.
Yeah. So, key number 2 has got to be limiting big plays. And I talked about this a little bit in the scouting report, but that's going to mean containing DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I would throw Kenneth Walker and Jackson Smith-Njigba in there as well, because look, we thought all the big plays were happening through the air, and Ramondre Stevenson broke us for 60 yards on the ground in one play last week. And this is a guy that was struggling. I mean, I own Ramondre Stevenson across a couple fantasy football leagues, and I was so fed up with him all year until, of course, he plays us and he breaks one for 60 yards. So, got to limit those big plays, both on the ground and through the air. And I think that goes with key number 3, and something Pop mentioned is a little teaser from key number 1, and that's going to be neutralize the 12th man. All right, there's no secret that Seattle is one of the toughest places to play in the NFL when they've got a good football team. You think of the Superdome, you think of Seattle, you think of Philly. Real nasty home crowd. You think of Arrowhead as well.
Loud.
Nasty home crowd, loud, like record-breaking loud. So definitely something to keep an eye on and to just be prepared for. So in terms of like silent counts, being prepared for that, and Howell just kind of having a plan with the line of how we're going to deal with that on offense. And I think that ties into point number 2, Pop, which is very well orchestrated on these keys here, limiting big plays that will take them out of it. Let's slow the game down. Let's, try to win that battle at time of possession, and let's convert. If we're finishing drives with scores, if we're winning the game at time of possession, and we're slowing the game down a little bit, all of a sudden the crowd starts to get a little bit bored. A few too many beers start to nod off a little bit, that kind of thing. So, Pop, you want to elaborate any more on those keys, or are you ready to move on?
Well, I mean, I think they're all pretty well stated. Yeah, the crowd does concern me, especially with the young quarterback. Although I think Sam through his career, maybe short pro career, but definitely in his college career, he talked about the Virginia Tech crowd being super loud, and he's dealt with that. But how he's prepared to deal with it, because it can snowball from a momentum point of view, and we want to avoid that kind of situation. But yeah, I mean, I think player for player, it's a winnable game, and we've got good success going out to Seattle and playing for some odd reason. And Doc Walker was mentioning how sometimes that long plane ride, if you use it right, if you use it to game plan, prepare, watch film, get focused, it really starts to eliminate any distractions. And from a clock point of view, it's still a 1 o'clock kickoff from an East Coast perspective, 4:25, I think, for us. But I mean, in terms of the guys that are going on the trip, they're going to be, well, I guess I screwed that up. It's 4 o'clock kickoff for them, 1 o'clock kickoff in Seattle. So that whole vibe, forget it. I screwed that up. But the nap didn't kick in fully, obviously.
If you carry the 2.
But the main thing is, it's an opportunity to eliminate distractions, I guess.
I mean, Pop, you're our math guy. If we lose your math, we're in trouble. This podcast
It's
is
late,
headed to
son.
late. You're
The
the math
month's only
guy.
good between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. After that, it's anybody's bet. But yeah, I mean, again, it's for whatever reason, we've had some pretty good success out there. So yeah, it's a big one in terms of if we want to make a season out of it. I think we almost have to have this one.
Yeah.
So
Fair. So let's get to it then. Predictions wise, Pop, the Seahawks are favored by 6 points at home. How do you think this one goes?
I think it's an uphill climb. I'll say we cover the 6, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. But I think we're
All
going to
right.
cover the 6. I'll take the Commanders and the points.
Yeah, I think this one's tough to predict because like going into last week, we're like, all right, we want to see Howell do it 2 times in a row. We want to see the team do it 2 times in a row. And then they did it, and we haven't seen it 2 times in a row. We certainly haven't seen it 3 times in a row. So it's hard to, wonder, have we turned a corner or are we due for another dud here? Um, I think I think the Seahawks are going to win this game, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that I think we do cover that 6 points. It's just a lot of points to give up with an offense that I think is capable of scoring and getting going against the defense that I'm not sure is particularly great. Um, so yeah, I'm
I think they're
comfortable saying
pretty.
that we cover.
I do believe they're pretty evenly matched teams. You talked about
Yeah,
maybe their strength matching our weakness, which makes you feel a little uncomfortable. But I also think you look at DK Metcalf; he hasn't had a great season, and even though physically he reminds you of an AJ Brown, he's not AJ Brown in terms of the quality of receiver. He's much more of a straight ahead, guy. Very capable, no question, but I don't think he's as hard to cover as someone like AJ Brown. Lockett worries you because he's just such a burner.
yeah,
And you brought up, the other weapons that they have. But I think the thing is that I think in the maturity of this team, and it's also been a trait of Ron Rivera's team, is that inability to put teams away. We were clearly the better team on Sunday, right? But we just can't seem to put teams away. And it's that what they call it, the 4-minute drive at the end of a game, right? The
yeah,
ability to hold the ball, to convert first downs, not end up a half yard or a yard short and having to punt. We haven't shown that ability to do that, and that's been tough. And by the way, we forgot something really important. Quick shout out to the Boston Insider, one of our network of insiders, for bringing home that win on Sunday.
definitely, 100%. That's a
Well done,
good.
sir.
That's an important shout out there. We needed that. We're going to be sending you your tickets to Seattle in the mail. Just give us your credit card information so we can get the flights booked and buy those tickets for you. Anyways, let's move on, you guys. Bonus segment here this week. We promised you guys power rankings a couple weeks ago, and then Josh Harris decided to trade the entire team, so we had to postpone it a week. But we're going to give you guys our power rankings. If you want to hear what we've done before and you want to compare and contrast and see how things shook out, go back to our last episode of the power rankings. You'll see in the titles a few weeks ago. It's a pregame pod as well. But these are the week 10 NFL power rankings. So why don't we start at 10, Pop, and we'll go
I know
back and
you like to
forth and
do that.
work our way down, build the anticipation. So for me, at number 10, I'll start. I got the Buffalo Bills. Who do you got at 10, Pop?
Of like minds, same. Barely making it
Yeah,
into the top 10. I think they were a top 5 team for the both of us, right? So
yeah.
disappointing season, I'd have to say, so far for Buffalo. A lot of
Not
potential
ready
there.
to count them. Not ready to count them out yet. You figure a team that if they can get right is always the kind of team that should be favored no matter who they're playing. But a lot of injuries this year, a lot of key players going out, and just underperforming as a whole, especially offensively right now. So got to stick them at number 10. Number 9. You told me I would have had it ranked this way going into the season. I would have told you were crazy. I have the Cleveland Browns at number 9. Who you got at number 9, Pop?
Interesting. I'm going with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, that is my number 8 team. So I got them just a little bit ahead of the Browns. That Browns defense is just for real, man. They're serious. Myles Garrett is striking fear into the hearts of everybody. And the Jaguars had a bad start to the season, but really turned it around, got hot. That'll be a common theme later on down the list here. Yeah, I got Jacksonville at number 8. Who you got at 8, Pop?
Dallas Cowboys.
Ah, spoiler alert: Cowboys do not make my top 10, and I'll tell you
Wow,
why.
that's who dropped out.
Yeah, Cowboys are not in my top 10. I think they have proven time and time and time again. I mean, every single example. They're going to win games in the regular season. And when it comes down to it, and when they actually have to play a decent opponent, they are going to deuce themselves in the last 2 minutes of the game. It happened against Philly. It happened last year in the playoffs. It happened the year before that in the playoffs. It happened when Jason Garrett was head coach. It just happens all the time. So they don't make my top 10 because if I'm a good football team, I don't fear the Dallas Cowboys because I know the crumble that's coming.
Right.
Number 7, Miami Dolphins for me. Who you got at 7?
Same. I got the
Yeah,
Dolphins
nice.
as well.
Great minds think alike. Hot start for them. I think Pop might have had them number 1 after
I
that
did.
70-point win in week 3. But yeah, Dolphins kind of sliding here down to number 7. We'll see if they can keep that offense flying. The 49ers for me are number 6. That was my number 1 team. How the mighty fall. Where do you got him, Pop? What do you got at number 6?
I got the Detroit Lions at number 6.
Wow, okay, a little lower on the lines than the boy.
I knew you were going to say that.
At number 5, this is a team that I had in my top 10 last time, and I got roasted for it. At number 5, I got the Cincinnati Bengals, and I think you only have to put them outside of the top 3 right now because they do have a couple more losses, but I think they're playing the highest level of football in the NFL right now, among the highest level with everybody else. Burrow's back and healthy. That defense is firing on all cylinders. Bengals are back, baby, and I love it. I love it. Me dispiace to my Ravens insider, but I love it. Who you got at
Yeah,
5, Pop?
I've got the 49ers at number 5.
All right. All
So
right.
they've
So a
slid
little bit
down.
higher
They've
on
slid
Cincy.
down a bit, but I got the Niners there. And I tell you, they better turn things around quickly or they're going to keep falling.
It feels almost like the Bills with the Niners, right? Where they're like right on that cliff of like, are you guys going to fall apart? Are we going to watch this elite football team fall apart right before our eyes? They're right
Uh,
on that line. I hope
I
not.
think
I
they
like San
think they
Francisco,
might
but
have a quarterback problem, but we'll see.
yeah, we'll have to see how that
The
goes.
league may be catching up to Mr. Purdy.
One thing we know for sure is Carson Wentz will not be quarterbacking for the 49ers later this season. Just signed with the LA Rams, getting ready for his revenge game in December. Number 4, I got the Detroit Lions. Who you got there, Pop?
At number 4, I got the Cincinnati Bengals as the hottest team in football, arguably.
Yeah,
Just on an
can't disagree with you
absolute
there.
roll.
Can't disagree with you there. I see the Lions getting healthy. Jameer Gibbs kind of had his breakout. David Montgomery coming back off injury. And I think they were rolled by who I think is the hottest team in football, which we'll get into in a bit here.
I need Montgomery to come back, by the way, for a fantasy team.
You and me both. You and me both. I need him.
6-game slide.
And listen to me, Dan Campbell. I know Jameer Gibbs did some flashy things and went for 189 yards and whatever. Let's get him. Let's get the carries back to Montgomery. Okay, this is we play real. We don't play fantasy football here. We play efficient football on the ground. 3 yards a carry, but you give the guy 25 carries a night. That's what we need. Please, please. Number 3. Speaking of guys, we need to turn it around for our fantasy football teams. I got the Kansas City Chiefs at number 3 right now. Who you got at 3, Pop?
Boo. I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. I know people are
It's a
starting
hater
to give
take.
people are
That's
starting
a
to give that
hater take.
Ravens a little. It's not a hater take. I don't hate on the Ravens. You hate on the Ravens. Let's get
That's
this
a hater.
straight.
That's
I
why I
just got
can
to see a
recognize
little
it so
more.
well. That's a
I
hater
got to
take.
see a little more. They got to get through the division. They dropped some games. Bengals are hot. They're going to play the Browns this week, who got a really good defense. I think they're a great team, and they're playing really well, and they're on a hot streak. But can they maintain it? Can they sustain it? I got to see a little more before they take out what I think are still the top two teams in this league.
Yeah, they've definitely got the toughest division in football this year, I think. I mean, all the teams, you figure the Steelers were going to kind of bottom out, and the Steelers are a solid football team. I think they're probably 11 or 12 on this list. And the Browns are great. The Bengals are great. They got their work cut out for them, but I got them at number 2. I got the Baltimore Ravens, and I think there is just no way you can look at what this team has done and the quality of opponent that they've beat so far this year and rank them any lower than that. Look, I love Patrick Mahomes as much as the next guy, all right? I watched the quarterback documentary. I drafted him in the second round of my fantasy football draft this year. I think he's a stud, and I love what they're doing defensively over there in Kansas City. But the Baltimore Ravens today are a better football team today. And that's what we're ranking is today. Now, do I think in February we're going to be watching Lamar brush confetti off his forehead as the Ravens hoist the Lombardi Trophy? Do I think they have a better chance at that than the Chiefs? I don't right now. But top down, the Ravens, they can beat you on the ground. They can beat you on the air. They can suffocate you defensively. There's not a thing this football team does bad right now. So they got to be at number 2 for me.
I've got the Philadelphia Eagles at number 2.
Wow. Tough. That's tough, Bob. This is a tough look for the pop segment of the podcast here. I can't rock with this. I can't rock with this top 3, man. I got the Eagles at number 1. I think the Eagles are the best team of football until proven otherwise. And I think, frankly, if you look back on my power rankings in week 1, I said you kind of had to throw a dart at San Francisco and Philly, and I think you got to say it's Philly. It should have been Philly back then. I think there's just – you want to talk about a team
best
that
record in football, so
well.
you go based on that. That's a solid pick.
I mean, there's just – you name a weakness on that team. They do everything well. They're well coached. They have superstars. They have the best wide receiver in football right now in A.J. Brown, one of the best quarterbacks in football in Jalen Hurts. Please. I love me some Sammy Howell, but spare me the comparisons, please. It's not good for Sam either. Yeah, the Eagles are number 1 for me. And Pop, go ahead and tell everybody why you think the Chiefs are the best team in football.
I think Chiefs are the best team in football for one reason, right? And maybe I'm projecting a bit, and we do it a little differently. That's okay.
We are talking about Week 10 here.
I'm saying who I think is going to end up at the top at the end of this thing. And for me, it's the Chiefs because of that defense, right? Because the offense is going to figure it out. Don't tell me that they're not going to figure out on offense with Mahomes, with Kelsey, and the whole crew there. They're going to figure it out on offense. They're going to put up points. And when they get tested in those tough games, they always come through. Everybody thought going over to Germany and playing the Dolphins after a bad loss against the Broncos, they were going to be in trouble. And this light bulb went on for me after watching that game. The way that defense is dominating and knowing that the offense is going to be coming, I still think this is the best team in football until someone takes that crown away from them. And we were saying similar things about the Chiefs around this time last year, if I might remind you.
All right. Well, hey,
they hit bumps in the road there. So I'm sticking with the Chiefs as the number 1 team in football.
That's fair. It's hard to argue against unless you want to talk about the current records and you want to say we're talking about today, which I think we are talking about today. But I agree with you that I think until proven otherwise,
you took current records, I guess you make the argument for the Eagles, but they got the second best record in football.
I think until proven otherwise, you're right in that we expect in February, it's going to be Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes versus whoever the best team in the NFC is. I think that's fair until proven otherwise.
And they've got some games coming up that'll test them. I mean, you got Eagles Chiefs coming up, so that'll be a great way. That'll be a great barometer to see.
Is that next week or the week
November 20th.
All right.
It's a Monday night game.
Coming up. Yeah, I can't wait for that one. That's going to be
next week.
It's the week of Thanksgiving. That's going to be great. That is going to be great. Yeah. I cannot wait for that. So let's get into the Bada Bets. You know it. You love it. You can't live without it. That's why we're here today to bring you these Bada Bets. Guys, let us know what you think of those power rankings in the comment section right now. I'm sure our Ravens insider is shocked that I got the Ravens ranked higher than Pop. I think that might be the first time that's ever happened in pod history. But my loyalty is to the game first. Let's get into the Bada Bets. Thursday night. Well, we got to do the recap first. Excuse me, before Pop gets on the board here. Pop last week 5-1. I was 4-2. So Pop on the year. What? Oh, you're gesturing. So this means
5-1
generally. Pop was 5-1 on the year last year. I was 4-2.
Whoa.
So on the year, for the entire year, Pop is 27-19-1. I'm 25-21-1. Two stellar records. I mean, if that's not enough to tell you all that it's time to pay attention and start working these Bada Bets, I don't know what is. Frankly, I don't know what it is.
Scuttle, man. You got to put some Scuttle on the Dom and Pop picks. You're going to do all right.
Boys are eating. The boys are
Scorching.
eating. So Thursday night.
This is a tougher week, though.
Here comes an 0-5 week. Thursday night, Panthers and Bears. Bears are 3-point favorites at home. I think white boy Tyson Badgett is his name, I think. I think he's still going to be quarterback. Not sure. What do you got there, Pop?
Khalil
Herbert coming back if that's important to you.
What's that?
I'm going to take the Bears. I said Khalil Herbert is coming back if that's important to you. I'm going to take the Bears. They're at home. Bryce Young looks rough so far this year, and he's going on the road, playing in the cold. I don't know. That's my only lean. I might find something else to do with my Thursday night if I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah, I'll go Bears. I'll go Bears as well.
Yeah. Sunday at 1 o'clock, 49ers, 3-point favorites playing in Jacksonville. What do you like there, Pop?
I think the 49ers are sliding a bit, and it's a tough trip. Long trip down there in the southern East Coast. I'm going Jags. Tingle says Jags.
Wow. Yeah,
I mean, road favorites, that's a lot of respect happening there.
It is. The 49ers coming off the bye week. Chase Young, obviously, added to that team now. I'm going to take the 49ers here. I think that feels, to me, it just feels like a trap. When I get a feeling, when I look at a line and I go, huh? Really? I just remember the first time I went to the MGM in Las Vegas and just how big that building is and how big all the other buildings are there. And I go, well, maybe they're trying to trap me. So I'll take the 49ers at -3 there. Sunday at 4 o'clock, we got the Lions, 3-point favorites over the Chargers, also road favorites here. What do you like, Pop?
Yeah, that's another one. I guess that's why we put it on there. It's kind of, I just tend not to believe in the Chargers, so I'll go Lions.
Yeah, I'm taking the Lions.
They're playing better, though.
Obviously. Yeah, Herbert's playing hurt, which is not helping anybody here. And the Chargers just in general are just not that team. Sunday Night Football, the Jets at the – wow, who picked the primetime games this week? The Jets at the Raiders. Jets 1-point favorites.
Don't disrespect our Jets insider like that.
I guess he anticipated – I mean, the Jets disrespect our Jets insider. It's not about me disrespecting them. But I guess he anticipated Aaron Rodgers was going to be playing in primetime here. Is what it is. Pop, you rolling with Scott? Not Zach Wilson at number 1? Or what do you like?
I don't know. The Raiders kind of did bounce back with their coaching change, smoking cigars in the locker room there and all that stuff. But I still think the Jets are the better of those two teams. Heck of a defense. And in Vegas, never too much of a road game. Fans seem to really travel out there. We went out there for Washington football team game at the time, had a great time, brought home a win. So I'll go with the Jets.
Nice. Yeah, I am going to take the Raiders here. Home team, reinvigorated, soft opponent. I mean, you do worry a little bit about Aiden O'Connell against the Jets defense. That's certainly a concern. But tell you who's Sam Howell's better than Zach Wilson. I think we can all confirm that.
Yeah.
And I think if you drafted Sam Howell number 2 overall, the conversation would be very different around him right now, but that's a different conversation. I'm going to take the Raiders here. Monday Night Football, Broncos at Bills. Bills 7.5-point favorites at home. Tough place to play. Broncos stink. What do you like there, Pop?
Yeah, Broncos have shown some signs of life. It's a big spread. But I'll go Bills. I don't love that pick, but I'll go Bills.
Yeah, it's
Let's
a tough pick.
Get right game for them.
That minus 7.5 is tough, but yeah, I'm gonna tell you there and take the Bills, both for strategic reasons that I don't want to give another one up on that pick, and because I do think they'll win. That's a tough one though. That's a tough one because the Broncos are like you just never know what team you're gonna get from them, and it's the same with the Bills. You never know who's gonna show up, but you figure the Bills at home should be about time for them to turn it around, right?
Right. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, they definitely haven't been at their best, but I think they're clearly, the better football team there, and maybe it's a good chance for them to turn it around. I hate those big point spreads like that, but
Yeah, it's tough.
yeah.
It's tough. But anyways, hey, let's wrap this thing up,
How
Pop. Like I
about
said, I think we did
Antonio
the job.
Pierce being the head coach of the Raiders? By the way,
Wild, pretty wild.
former Washington linebacker Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah,
It's crazy what's going on over there. I mean, you think
seems
this
very well
franchise is a
liked by the
mess?
players.
Yeah, they're very excited about him. We'll see if he sticks around or if Mark Davis makes another mistake in picking a new head coach. Tell you what, Josh Harris looking pretty good from over here, in my opinion. But you got to wonder. They did this last time. Last time they fired a head coach in the middle of the season. Rich Bisaccia took over. Rich lit a fire under that team and got him hot, and then they let him go. And I said that was a mistake. They went with Josh McDaniels, and now here we are, right back to where we were. So let's see. Hopefully, Pierce gets his shot at it.
Yeah, you hear some of those stories about McDaniels is pretty wild.
Yeah,
he definitely lost. He definitely lost that locker room for sure. He just needs to go back and be OC of the Pats, and that's it.
well,
If O'Brien will give it up,
needs to go be
he's
OC
a good
for the
offensive
greatest
coordinator.
quarterback of all time. He's in the Belichick camp for me. It's hard to.
He had a good year with Mac Jones.
He did. That
Got
was
10
Mac's
wins.
best year. That was Mac's best year. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. That was Mac's best year, and they had a very good defense that year. But that was Mac's best year.
they still have a very good defense, except when they play Sam.
Well, we'll see. Hey, he might be our OC next year when Bill comes down south and takes over.
Let's
hope not. Anyways, let's wrap this thing up. It's starting to get wacky in here. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thanks for the weekend.